All right, my friends, here we are. It's Randy, can you hear me? Okay, good. It's Logic Live 100, my friends. I can't believe we're actually at 100 episodes. It seems like only yesterday that the world was ending. We didn't know what to do, so we decided to get together and have a virtual user group, and thus Logic Live was born. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Let's see who's here today. I see Michael Landon is here. Hello, Rex. Josh Lawrence is here. BJ is here. Luke MB, who I see on the Zoom. Hello. Adam Taylor. Richard Betts. That's the line of the day, I think. I'm going to add that to the broadcast right now. Way to centuplicate. Thank you very much, my friend. Carlos is here. Jeff Kyle, of course. Alan Letary with the first comment of the day. You know that means it's going to be a good show. All right, everybody. So to my friends who have joined the Zoom, you got the Zoom link. Just hang out on Zoom. Randy and I are going to incorporate Zoom into this broadcast. God willing, if Greg Paul Malone were here, he would be excited because he knows that Logic Live only barely any live stream I'm a part of only has a 51% chance of going well. And so Randy and I decided to try something new today to maybe kind of get that closer to 50%. Well, the music's gone introspective. This is really a very emotional day for me after 2.5 years and 100 episodes. Whoever would have thought? All right, my friends, Logic Live 100 coming your way right now. Hello, Logic friends. My name is Andy. It is Sunday. I'm going to unmute Randy MCENTEE. I'm going to regret this and bring him on for what is really a beautiful thing, man. Logic Live 100. I mean, whoever would have thought, right?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, maybe if you didn't spend so much money on that microphone, I wouldn't have been able to hear like your tongue and your teeth hit each other when you're trying to fake me out there. Randy MCENTEE, ladies and gentlemen. He's here. Randy, what does Logic Live 100 make you feel? What words come to mind?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm thinking about this a lot lately. I'm just absolutely humble and grateful for it, right? Like I kind of naturally have a gratitude problem, and this is a great reminder that stuff is working and people are appreciative, and the community is here to show for it. So I think that's really cool. I don't know what to say. I usually don't have any problem saying things, but this time I'm especially hindered.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Randy. I had forgotten to rewind the slideshow to the first frame, so thank you for covering for me while I did that in the background. I really appreciate it. I'm, like I said during the intro there, I'm absolutely humbled. I cannot believe that this little thing that we, really did on a whim back in March of 2020 has become such an important part of my life and your life and so many other flame artist lives around the world. So this is going to be a little fun introspective. We're going to look back. We're going to look forward. And we definitely want to hear from everybody as we go through the show today. So if you have any comments, especially if you have a favorite episode, make sure you put that in the chat. Let's get underway, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of Logic Live, believe it or not, is brought to you by AJA, together with Flame since 2006, and by Hotspring, the future of VFX outsourcing. Hotspring connects you to great artists to get your projects done, making it easier than ever to access the best talent around the world. Check them out at www.thehotspring.com. If you're in the market for anything for Boris FX, I would say do not use this discount code today because in a couple days, they're going to be running a Black Friday special and everybody should take advantage of that. I want to thank Boris FX and especially Brian Fox at Boris for being such an amazing partner during this adventure that we call Logic Live. And I want to let everybody know also, we have this little affiliate code here for ActionVFX.com. They're also going to have a Black Friday special that I'm going to announce. I think it's going to be on Wednesday. So just hold off for that. The savings are amazing and the product is amazing. So we're just going to zip right through that there. Speaking of amazing, it's cold out there. I'm seeing it in the chat. Apparently it's cold in Chicago. What a shock. If now that the weather's changing, get yourself some winter weather gear and make sure it says Logic on it. You can get all the Logic merch at logic.tv. And Randy and I definitely want to thank our patrons on Patreon. I know I say it every week, And Amanda says it when she hosts, and Jeff says it when he hosts. We could not do what we've done for the last couple of years if it was not for the patrons on Patreon. We want to thank each and every one of you. I'm going to leave this list up a little bit longer than I normally do, just so that everybody can be acknowledged. We just thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your contributions, for your time, for your love, and for helping us do all that we have been doing with Logik for the last couple of years. We're up to 144 patrons. If you'd like to become a patron for as little as $5 a month, you can do that at patreon.com/LogikTV. And speaking of the forum, let's show you the forum stats for 2022. I don't know, Randy, do you want to read these out? This is your baby, man. You made this happen.
I'm good.
All right. Forum stats for 2022. And in honor of Randy McEntee, the man behind the curtain. We're up to 1,214 users. That's up 4 from last week. 1.7 million page views just this year alone. We've had 185,000 in the last month. 13,000 posts so far. And 559 users on Discord. We want to thank that one person who signed up last week since last week's show. You made all the difference. Randy has spent a tremendous amount of time on Discord, setting it up and just making it easier to use and more accessible. Excuse me, if you haven't already done so, please join the conversation over on the Logik.tv Discord. You can sign up at forum.logik.tv. Live chat, screen sharing. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Randy, for doing that. Speaking of fantastic things that Randy did this week, the challenge coins are on their way. I know several people have gotten them. I'm going to switch back to me and Randy. I got mine right here.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Randy.
There you go.
For making this happen and sending this out. What's that?
Am I out of sync now?
Oh, it's very possible. You should hold your challenge coin a little bit further away from the microphone because Randy spent the extra nickel to make sure these were made with depleted uranium.
Cool.
But we want to, for that extra, it definitely feels significant when we do that. The challenge coins have gone out. We've sent them to all of our patrons. Thank you very much, patrons, for, again, for everything that you do. Let's just give a shout out to Logik Academy. We released 3 new Logik Academy videos, or classes rather, for fall of 2022. The first is the first part of one on the particle system by our friend Sinan Viral. Then Randy did 2. One's called My First Linux Flame, where Randy takes us through how you go ahead and put together your first Linux flame. He helped me with mine, and then I did the second one on my own, so I highly recommend this. It's not nearly as scary as you think, and you definitely get that bang for the buck that you get out of running Flame on Linux. So check that out. And Randy also did one called the Logik Portal, where he went through the Logik Portal script that was gifted to the community by Mike Vaglianti, shows you how to install that, and then takes us through. Randy, how many of your favorite scripts were there that you took everyone through in this video? Oh, Randy's still in the green. Oh, you disconnected. All right, hold on. Let's come back. There you go. Hi, Randy.
Sorry about that. I'd reconnect
Welcome
to just
back.
make sure. What was the question, please?
I think you held the coin maybe far enough away from the microphone, but
Sorry.
a little bit too close to
I'm
your
so
Wi-Fi
nervous.
router.
Yeah, all the challenge coins are on their way. Kino in Joburg, yours has landed at a shipping facility in Joburg. To our Auckland friends, the 3 there are in Auckland at a shipping facility, and so we got coins on their way to like 19 countries. The only continent not that I haven't sent or figured out customs and declaration info for yet is Antarctica. So if anyone has a friend in Antarctica, let me know, because we might as well just tick that box.
Sure. Probably not as cold as Chicago, based on what I'm reading in the chat here.
Too soon.
Excellent. Randy, for the Logik Portal video that you made, how many of your favorite scripts did you show off?
I don't know. 12, 15,
Several?
18. Several. Yeah, I think there's a total of 60 or so scripts that are total. So it's Mike Vaglianti has done an amazing job of putting that resource together. And due to some recent developments in staffing situations that happen to benefit the Logik community a little bit, expect more soon.
Nice. Love a tease like that. So the Logik Portal video joins its friends, Connected Conform and Image Node by the wonderful Jeff Kyle, Intro to NDI, 8-Minute Aces, setting up PyBox rather, and the Machine Learning Time Warp by Randy, and then I did one on Beauty Techniques in Flame. They're all available for free at logic.tv or youtube.com/logictv. Thank you very much, Autodesk, for sponsoring Logic Academy. Speaking of Autodesk, I fixed the typo from last week, so everyone can now rest assured that Flame 2023.2 is out, as opposed to last week when the internet was clamoring for 2023.2 IS. So that crisis has been averted, thank God. And definitely download the latest and greatest if you haven't already. And while you're at it, check out all the content that our friend Grant Kay has created for 2023.2. There's a whole slew of new tutorial videos up on the Flame Learning channel for you to check out. And that is going to do it with that kind of update. All right, my friends. Whew. All right, now this is the part where I'm nervous, Randy, because we ran through this morning and it went great. So, like I said at the top of the show, Logic Live started. It started during like 2 weeks into the pandemic. Everybody was home. No one knew what the hell was going on. No one knew what to do. And I wanted to kind of and take a few minutes and just kind of look back at the beginning of this little adventure of ours. And back when the pandemic first started, we were only on Facebook, and I reached out to the moderators of the Facebook group and a couple of other people who were really active, and wanted to try to get something going. I had gotten calls from so many people saying like, all my bookings just disappeared. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I thought about running another One Frame of White, because in the past I got like free temp licenses of Flame and of Sapphire Sparks and everything for the duration of the contest. So I figured, well, maybe if we do a One Frame of White, people wouldn't have to pay for software during the couple of weeks that we were supposed to be home. And then I remember I was on the phone with you, and you had just gone freelance. Like it had only been a couple of weeks, right?
A week before the pandemic.
2020, right?
Yep, perfect timing.
And you told me like, hey, really appreciate it, Andy, but I really don't have any time or interest for contests right now. I just started to quit my job and started a business. And like that clicked with me. And that's when I went onto the Facebook group and I just said, you know what, let's just do a virtual user group. We'll just do that today, or not today, like this weekend. So here, I'll go back to the slideshow. This was the post here. I'm sure I had put something on beforehand, just asking if anybody was interested, And then on Saturday the 21st of March, I put this up, and on March 22nd, we did our very first live show. I actually tried to do it. This is a precursor of things to come, right? I tried to do a live stream to Facebook Live. It worked twice when I tested it, and then on the day of, I could not get a connection to Facebook Live. So we ended up just like saying,
well, from that moment on, Facebook was doomed in our minds, right?
That's it. That was like the poison pill there. So we just did it on Zoom, and I did some beauty work. Right, it was just like a user group presentation. Here's some beauty work. I did a little bit of color management, like color management for idiots, because I really didn't know much about it at the time. I did a green screen shot. I don't know that much about it now, but what I did know, I shared. And then, of course, me being me, did a little bit of Python, and this was it, man. Like this was this was Logic World headquarters at the time, right? This is my little.
Wait. Who is Employee of the Month back there?
Oh, well, we had only been home for like a couple of weeks or whatever, and my wife decided to put up an Employee of the Month sign, and I had at the time I had 2 cats, and they had a little stuffed animal dog named Pancake, and so Pancake became the very first Employee of the Month.
So Kim picked the stuffed animal before you?
Well, I mean, understand, that she had spent like a lot of time with Pancake. I had only been working from home for like 2 weeks, and so there was still like an adjustment period. Everybody was getting used to it, but I ran out of the office, or they handed us like a jump bag with like a Teradici box, and that Wacom 3 tablet, yes, BJ, and a 50-foot purple Ethernet cable, which I still have. It's right here. Hold on. Right.
Yeah.
That ran downstairs, like it ran down the stairs with black gaffer's tape, so I could plug it into the router downstairs. And hold on, I'll go back to the slideshow, or I'll end up talking to the camera. There we go. Yeah, I mean, this was it, dude. I also got this Blackmagic video box here because I had a GoPro here that was going to be my whole setup. So
sure.
None of that worked, so it was just holding up the laptop. and we just did an audio version of Logic Live. But what was phenomenal was, and I was nervous as all get out because these were all people I knew, and I was doing a presentation live, and I was convinced it was going to suck, and everyone was going to know that it was like imposter syndrome. Like, I was sweating from places that I don't normally sweat from. But by the end of that show, I had received so many messages from other artists who were like, that was amazing. I want to do one too. Right? So the next week, Sinan came on for Logic Live #2. And of course, he did one on particles, which was phenomenal. And then
that was fun.
By the end of that day, I had the rest of April already lined up with all these people here who were like, I want to come on and do a show. And then I rounded out the month by doing one for, writing Python scripts. But you could already see at the beginning there an absolutely beautiful sense of community and people coming together, and we're going to get through this together, and we're going to figure it all out together. And at the end of these couple of weeks here, by this point already 2 weeks turned into a month, we're going to be better for it, and everybody will have learned something, and they'll be ready to rock and roll and go back. This is a reverse angle of the Logic Live studio at the time, which had become a technological shithole.
And you're still not employee of the month.
I'm still not employee of the month. This went to my other cat, Harrison. But I was told that in my review that I was definitely making progress, and I should anticipate being recognized sometime in the near future. But there would be no raise. So, and I added a ring light because, I needed
because that's what people do.
Because that's what people did back during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Man, the cat loved this, though. There was plenty of crazy stuff to lay on. Anyway, after this, we did Logic Fest in April of 2020. Raise your hand virtually if you remember Logic Fest. But no, we did like a little incentivized contest. Brian Fox over at Boris put up 5 licenses of Mocha and Sapphire, and people just shared tips and tricks. And they had like a flame webinar or something, and we piggybacked on the back of that. Thank you, Jeff. The ring light adds a lot. This is someone who worked with me every day for 2.5 years. Logic Fest. Yes, first place went to, just a couple of the highlights here. The first place went to Jorge Febrero, who showed how to use the ML face maps. He did tips and tricks on that. And then just to show the magic of sharing stuff, Gabriel Garrido did one here using IBL to achieve ray tracing effects. I went around and used that the next week. I was working on a Maybelline job, and they gave me a photograph of a glass bottle, and I needed to have like the background refract through it and everything. So boom, just use that right away. And then the other one I just want to mention real quick before we move on, and all this Logic Fest stuff is still available on the website on logic.tv, was Fumiro Sato's tip here, refining jagged edges and additive keys. To this day, this is still the video of ours on our YouTube channel. It has the most views ever. Right?
I know, it's
congratulations,
amazing.
Fumiro.
Fumiro-san. Fumiro-san, if you find me, and I'll send you a challenge coin because
challenge coin.
Thanks,
challenge
dude.
coin coming your way, Fumiro. Right. Whoops. All right. Another thing from that time period is our friends at Synesys had made up these Logic like phone batteries that we were going to give away at NAB before it was canceled. So they sent them to me and said, "Here, you can do with these whatever you want." So I started sending them to sending them out as prizes, and then people would take pictures. They take selfies and send them. So here, Miriam, took a picture by the Abbey Road sign. Jeff had gone out biking, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, Williamsburg Bridge. If not, it might be the 59th Street Bridge. But that was Jeff. Jeff still has his battery. Sibyl from the beach. Carrie Welton biked over to the Autodesk office, I guess in Venice or Santa Monica. Peter sent this from Taiwan. I'm sorry, Thailand, excuse me. And then Synesys also made up these Logic masks. We gave those away. There's our friend Mark. Mindy with a battery in New York. Right? It was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. And again, like the feeling of community could not have been stronger. Yeah. Let's look for a minute. And again, if anybody has any, Queensboro Bridge. Thank you, Robert. All right. Tim Farrell, 59th Street Bridge. Right. I wouldn't know. I just would, I would commute, I would take to Grand Central in and out. Right. It was just a stop on the train as far as I was concerned. Let's look real quick. I just want to scroll through because I started to prepare for this show, and I want to say like this was the most difficult show prep I ever did because now I can't find the page. Hold on for one second. There it is. Right. I was like this is like when you trying to clean out something from your office, your closet, and everything you go through is like, oh yes, that brings up like a million little memories, right? I went through and I went through all of the Logic Live episodes, and just found like some gems. Okay, this one, what I really loved at the very beginning were artists wanting to show off different disciplines. Like Christoph did Nuke for Flame artists, and then Yuri down from Sao Paulo did Maya for Flame artists. We did another one. I think it was David Johns was Resolve for Flame artists. Great, great, great. Especially since we all need to dip in and out of these apps every now and then. But then we started having the dev team on. And, the dev team had been at like user groups and things like that and shown off like new features and great. But in these videos, they really kind of, we got to know them maybe more as people, like in this first appearance here by Will, we learned about how the Flame team was like structured and functioned. I clearly hadn't had like a pandemic haircut yet. I just want to call that out at this point.
Still haven't.
Although they are very tragic. Thank you very much. Wait.
Uh-oh.
There we go. All right. That's called bringing the show to a stop, ladies and gentlemen. And I've perfected that after 100 episodes.
We didn't see that, right?
David Johns. It was a matter of sound effects. You heard it. We had the first appearance of Joel Osis. Yes, so Stefan came on and talked about like himself and his job. Then you got crazy stuff like Andy Davis and all of like his game engine tech. Like, there were a couple more that I wanted to call out. Oh yes, this was actually in the history of Logic a pivotal moment here, right? Renee and Randy called me and they said like they called and said they were getting pinged from people. We're now 20 weeks in, right? Who now are forced to become business people at home. How do you run a business? And so Renee did an episode on like running the business at home, and Randy did the tech side. And this is when the forum was born, right, Randy?
Yeah, the day after our episode together, I don't know. It really struck me. That July, August, early August of 2020 was just a really lonely, rough time for me. And I was looking for information and looking for support, and I was looking for it. I found it in individual people, but they were willing to share. I just thought more people would like it. So that Monday morning after the show is when we started the forums and just started inviting friends to see if it was helpful.
Yeah, I remember, when you called me and said like, I think I want to start a forum, I went, why? Like, okay, like I didn't, and then I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is the answer. This is the answer to, like even like before the forum, I fired up a Squarespace site for logic.tv as just a place to kind of throw all the Logic lives, because people were asking me for download links. Like I would post them on Facebook, but then, 5 seconds later that goes off into the scroll wheel of history and no one could find them. So I created that, and then the forum came along and just kind of answered all the other, like filled in connected all the separate parts of this Logic thing, like as it was coming together. I wanted to throw out here too, like it's coming up. We had Ivar, right? Yeah, it was episode 33 was when Ivar passed away, which was like one of the most emotional hours I think I've ever spent. Hearing from everybody and kind of going through all of Ivar's amazing contributions to the community. Yeah. And then also like following that, we did a GoFundMe. We raised something like $8,000 for his family. They ended up using it for his gravestone, and sent me beautiful pictures. I got a lovely card from his parents. And when you go through the list and think about like all the things that we did together as a community throughout this whole time, it had its ups, it had its downs, but even the low points were unbelievably beautiful. Moving right along, and then, again, I just want to show a couple more of these, but I encourage everybody to look back. Some people would have asked me, how do you pick what goes on Logic Live? And the reality is, it's usually two things that dictate what gets on the show. One, someone sends me a message and says, "Hey, I have something I'd like to put on the show," and the other is if there's something I always wanted to learn. Like
Yeah.
I'd never opened up Synthize, and so when Ulick offered, I was like, "Oh yes, perfect." And then, that was great. But it wasn't until over a year later that I got on a freelance gig where I kind of really needed to learn Synthize, and so I was able to
Yeah.
go back and rewatch his and Sean Sam's his follow up. But this right here, that first render dome that we did was was one of the best things I think I've ever been a part of, because all the anything that could have gone wrong technically happened, and we persevered. But it was like nothing else doing a little live matchup, especially with Andy Dill, who is one of my favorite people. Just a beautiful thing, the render dome, and we'll talk about that a little later. We have some ideas for render domes going forward, but yeah, when you have a chance, I encourage everybody to go and look and not only remember the journey that we've been on together, but again, I'm sure you'll find something that maybe you missed or you forgot about, and there it is as a tool for you to go ahead and it's what we always talked about, Randy. Having Logic as a resource. So. Let's talk about the forum, shall we?
Sure. What's on your mind?
Let me bring up the forum here, right? I
Yeah.
have a page. I set up a page, right? We maybe this would be a good actually transition point. We've talked about where we were, and maybe we could talk a little bit about where we are,
Right.
And where we want to go for, where we would like to go in the future. I just want to remind everybody, if you have anything that you'd like to, favorite episode or anything like that you'd like to bring up, a favorite memory, go ahead and put it in the chat. And if you haven't joined the Zoom, please do. We're going to switch over. We're going to invite all of our Zoomies on in a few minutes. But the forum really has become you saw when you did the post about the challenge coins, there was at least one person who said that it's become their first thing that they check in the morning.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride, and I think just watching you scroll through all the content, I think it's incredible. What is it, 15,000 hours of YouTube content alone that people have watched, right?
Let's do that. I'm sorry. Here, let me. There we go.
Only because it dovetails nicely into my little forum 30 seconds. It's funny because we talk about this all the time, and the scale of our community is exceptionally, excitingly, and frustratingly small sometimes. But but it's easy to forget that some of the stories have nothing to do with views and scales, and that's something that I need nudges and reminders about that all the time. But check out the number of hours that people have spent watching the stuff on our YouTube channel. 15,000 hours.
Yeah.
That's 2 years. 2 years straight. So if you sat down, started now,
went to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah. If you started right now and you'd watched every piece of content on our YouTube page, we'd see you in 2 years. And I think that's just a really remarkable, hopefully there's values and nuggets in there somewhere.
And if someone would do that, we would happily split the $3 with you that we would have made in those 2 years,
Exactly. So I think it's a great story. And then check out, there's the top of the, there's the
I
most
wanted
watched
everybody
thing.
to see this. These are the top 10 most viewed things we've ever posted on our channel, right? So here's Fumiro's refining jagged edges, right? And then look at number 2, Richard Betts. I see you in the chat. Right, the Keying Show is the second most popular show we ever did in terms of number of views, and then the Logic Academies, the first one, both of Jeff's, right? Logic Academies, isn't the image noted up here somewhere, or maybe it's just after. But Connect to Conform, then your Machine Learning Time Warp, CG Compositing and Color Management with John Ashby, right?
Yeah.
This
is all fascinating stuff. It's it doesn't, you kind of don't think about it until you have access to and look at this from time to time, because you start to realize what we're super busy. We don't always get a chance to say, hey guys, could you do this? But, just showing up and consuming stuff and watching and liking and sharing. I mean, it tells us that that's the kind of content we need to be making more of in the future.
Mm-hmm. Some of the comments have come in. Adam Taylor says his favorite was Tim Farrell's Tips and Shtick, so bloody useful. It was entertaining and educational.
That's
We
right.
call that edutainment in the business. So thank you very much, Tim Farrell. Josh Lawrence, thank you. It makes him want to go back and rewatch some episodes. Great stuff. Here you go, Jeff. Right, Jeff and Brian Bailey, the Connect and Conform episodes are some of the greats. And then from Jan here, COVID was hard, but so many positive communities came from it, like Logic Live. People strong. Absolutely true. Thank you very much. Let's look at the forum, right? And maybe we'll talk a little bit about what we have planned for the future, and then we'll bring our friends on.
Yeah, great.
For some feedback, right?
Yeah.
So what are we trying to do? What are you trying to do with the forum, Randy?
I don't know. I don't always get it right.
Some friends on from Zoom. No.
Exactly. I mean, look, it's like you and I talk about this all the time. We don't get out much. We spend most of our time
I don't
working.
get out at all.
Exactly. I spend, I'm a full-time flame artist, and then in between renders and nights and weekends, and I daydream and I think about flame stuff. And I think about interesting ways to connect people and to try and make it easier to do what we do, so that you can spend time doing what you'd rather do instead of looking for information or struggling with something that's somebody else has figured out. So, only until recently, I think have I kind of put some structure to what I think the community and what the forums can do. And at the top of the website, I'm just trying to remind myself with the links, and it's pretty simple. We've got 4 kind of cornerstones of our community offering, and that's content, and that involves what we're doing right now in the academy that Autodesk sponsors, the Logic portal that Mike Vaglianti makes and administrates, the merge to podcast, and then the community, the Discord, which is kind of more of our pub. It's our casual place where I unfortunately talk a lot of trash about New York pizza, which is totally unjustified. I know it's superior.
I just muted Randy because he always talks trash about New York pizza, and I actually have a mute button. So I just wanted to say, while I have the power to do this, that all pizza, is worthy of love, Randy. And I'm sorry, hey Randy, I'm sorry. I think you dropped out there for a second. You were, I think you were talking about Discord.
Yeah, it's where I talk and celebrate all styles of pizza.
Right, exactly.
No matter where,
Round,
no matter
square.
where it comes from.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And then the forums. The forums is kind of our forever home, and I think I still have been so busy making and building things that I don't always get a chance to communicate strongly or what each is for. And that's also fine too, because everyone can use the forums and the Discord and Logic Live and participate how they want and get what they need. So I think there's opportunities to do more for that. I think there's all kinds of stuff coming up that we can look at that's educational focused. Maybe have some ideas going. And then the contest, One Frame of White, we're looking to kind of maybe evolve into a slightly more modern and I don't know, approachable thing, because not everyone has time to spend on a huge project. But over the course of the last 10 years, Andy, you've personally given away over $350,000 worth of merchandise when it comes to Logic, the user groups in New York, and the Logic, the One Frame of Whites over the years. So that's an important part that we have to, sustain moving forward. I think that maybe the style of it might be updated, but and then the Render Dome is so much fun. What a ridiculous time, and it's created a bunch of stories, and
and custom belt buckles.
Custom belt buckles. I know we've seen Andy Dill's crotch live on TV before, and now it's etched into memory. But then the thing that I'm really
5 minutes before that, ladies and gentlemen, that means It's definitely a good show.
Yeah. And then like the career tools, right? So the 4C is for me is the most important, and that's what I loved doing when I was working at larger facilities. But that's definitely a place we want to shore up, because I think that provides us a lasting, like, real legacy. Like you mentioned earlier, it's not just about disposable adverts that we care about until award season and then seem to forget forever,
Or not.
um, or not. So yeah, so that's kind of the four main areas, and I think as we evolve and look, and we you know thoroughly listen, engage with members of the community, we now have the support and the time and the duty to use that time and those resources for the greater good, right?
Mm-hmm. Completely. Completely. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's try. Fingers crossed. Now I'm going to try to
Hmm.
bring in our friends on Zoom. If
Awesome.
the internet goes down, I apologize.
Mm.
And this, if the internet goes down, this episode was brought to you by AJA. And no, I'm good. So let me try the
Oh,
Zoom
actually,
button.
real quick, Andy,
Yes.
before we do destroy the space time continuum,
Hmm.
let's take a moment to. We have some people we desperately need to thank.
Yes. Before we prematurely end the show, I was going to do that later, but you're right. Just given our track record. Uh, I definitely, absolutely want to thank, and this is in no particular order because we love them all and appreciate them all equally. Um, Steve Strong and Petra over at Synesys, like especially at the beginning, could not have done this without your support. Want to thank everybody on the Flame Dev team who
Mm.
said yes, no matter what the request was. They just said yes and kept giving of their time. And Jocelyn in marketing, who ran the early Zooms. Like the
Hmm.
minute we got like more than 25 or whatever the number Zoom people you could have on Zoom with the free tier,
Yeah.
she made all that happen. Um, I need to thank my family. I mean, it was every Sunday, every Saturday was show prep, and every Sunday
Hmm.
was the show,
Yeah.
and they were very supportive, and they have been. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to. Feel free to jump in. I don't want to.
No, I just I'll
There's a
just
microphone, so I might dominate. But
no problem. I mean, it's fun. It's like there's a few people I think we should definitely call out to, and excuse us if we've forgotten specific people. But Bobby D, Robert Dosh from Autodesk, uh, thanks for paying our invoices with the sponsorship. I don't know. It's pretty simple. You give us a chance to make amazing content for the community, and we've had a chance to ask some of the most amazing artists to share their knowledge and give them and pay them for their amazingly valuable time. That's a huge and unbelievable thing. And um, uh, yeah, I mean, all of our sponsors and all of our patrons and everyone that's shown up and everyone's that's on the 1,200 people that have at one point signed up for a Logic Live. That's really cool. And then all of
yeah,
our
no.
patrons across 19 countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
19 countries and 23 US states. Like, as I was shipping these challenge coins out, I was just,
Now like
now I
intimately how
know.
many states and how many countries.
Now I know.
Yeah,
So
I
that
want
was
to
just
thank
really cool.
every Brian Fox and the team, over at Boris Effects, of course, especially
Yeah.
Brian for whatever we asked for, they said yes. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it was prizes to give away or technical support to do a render dome or anything, but I want to thank absolutely every single person who gave of their time to be
Mm-hmm.
a part of Logic Live and
Mm-hmm.
the forum and Discord. Everybody who posted a tip or a trick, everybody who answered someone's,
Mm-hmm.
questions when something wasn't working. Everybody who said jump on Discord or whatever, or give me your phone, we'll do a screen share and we'll help figure it out. That's
Yeah.
that's what this was all about.
Mm-hmm.
Was just trying to help each other,
Yeah.
and we're all better for it. So I want to thank each and every person out there who um, was part of this adventure. We
Mm-hmm.
really could not
Yeah.
have done it
And thank you in
without all of you.
advance to all of our Logic Live guests for the next 100 shows, because it's a tough, when I look through those lists of people that have come on the show, like it's an incredible list. I'm like, well, what the hell am I doing on this show? Um, but it's not about what how it's just about sharing what you know. And there hasn't been a single moment that someone else has come on where I didn't say, holy cow, that was incredible, or
Mm-hmm.
experience or expertise, or just where you're from and how you look at the world, and is so invaluable. So um you know we don't get to 200 if we don't have anybody else continuing to step forward. And I think there's been a lot of that recently, and I'm really excited to see that take shape in 2023.
Yeah. I would be remiss, and I saved the best for last, but I have to thank you,
Mm.
Randy McEntee, because when this thing first started, I mean, I was just trying to get the next show,
Mm-hmm.
on the air, so to speak, and I really didn't have a long-term plan or anything like that. I was just just trying to keep the momentum going,
Mm.
and you reached out to me early on, and I don't know how many people know this. We've only ever met twice,
Mm.
right? We were at a drink
Yeah.
sting at Larry's in Venice, like,
Yeah.
and didn't talk to each other, if I remember, because we didn't know each other, like, other than a
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Um, but you're unforgettable, Randy. And then in like 2019, you were riding your bike with a bunch of other folks from the mill, like, right,
Yeah.
from Chicago to New York, and happened to pass right through my town. And so I stopped by to say hi. That's it,
That's it.
you know.
That's
But
it.
you reached out to me during this whole thing in the beginning and said, this is great. Let's go further. And so,
Yeah.
it's all about the people you meet along the way. And I was
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate in my life to meet you along the way. And
Yeah.
so, thank you, Randy. I really appreciate it, man. Everybody,
My
David
pleasure.
Kreitz is applauding on Zoom, and I love you, man.
I love you too, man. Thanks for all you're doing. I think it's super fun, and um, I'm enjoying my role as an awkward introvert.
Me too.
like early when you asked
As a well lit awkward introvert like me.
dude, I know what I can control. I know what I can't. But like you asked me earlier to go through the form stats, and I choked and just said,
Yeah.
"I'm good. I'm good." so so
All
thank
right.
you for so thank you for doing what I can't do and what everyone else needs. It's been so much fun, and like I see it on my phone, like in the mornings. My iPhone machine learning style knows what I do before I do. So the first little suggestion when I wake up in the morning is to check the forum and then to text Andy Milkus. And so like so if even if I don't really understand the scope and an absolute gem that is our relationship, it's true and unwavering and absolute. So thanks for all you do, and I'll get off my soapbox now, and we'll get back to everything else.
That's okay. I got a text from Jeff Kyle 10 minutes ago. The show went off the air. So this has really just been like the Mutual Admiration Society here, having its absolute meeting. No, this
It's
is
all right.
great, man. Let's do it. Let's try to bring everybody in. So I'm going to push the Zoom button. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think it worked. I don't want to jinx it, but I think it actually worked. I'm going to push the magic button here that will allow people to unmute themselves. But just, should we let Randy in? Okay, yes. Let's do this. Just keep an eye or an ear, everybody, on your microphones. If anybody hears like an echo or anything, just go ahead and how do I do this? There we go. And mute yourself. So let's see. You should be able to unmute yourselves. I think Maury is unmuted. And how you doing, Maury? Let me leave the
You
chat window up
unfortunately
here.
unmuted me. Sorry, y'all.
Oh yes, okay. I'm going through I'm looking at the meeting chat here. I have to say, like, Renee, the show you did on Cars, right? The car show was a godsend because I was terrified of working on cars because it's something I never really had like access to. So you came on, thank God, made everything easy to understand and accessible, and then gifted the world with the object obliterator, which, like, is another miracle. So thank you very much, Renee.
You're welcome. I was so nervous. I was so nervous. But I wanted to say, like, early on, I'm so glad that Randy pulled me in. He called me up and was like, "You and I need to do a show about running your business from home." And he really kind of sat on me for a second and was like, "It's gonna be okay." I'm like, I wasn't. He really had to convince me. I was like not comfortable doing that. But looking back, I'm so glad I did it, and I've been on several more since then, and I've just gotten more comfortable with the idea. And I hope that other people who were nervous to do a show can come forward because it really feels good to help And it really, I've been getting so much out of these myself that it feels good to kind of close the circle and give back. So if anybody's nervous about stepping forward, please, if you have anything to share, even if it's something small, please do, because somebody will appreciate it.
I definitely appreciated it. Thank you.
Oh, Andy, milk us.
Damn it, I was muted. God, I knew it was going to happen.
Cliche, Andy.
But it's not, because it just happened. I was like, I'm going to type thank you, Sibyl, and I'll mute myself so that way no one has to hear my prehistoric keyboard. And then I left myself muted, which is a shame. It was a really, really, really good line.
Oh, Andy, I've got the waiting room, so I'll take care of that for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. What else did I want to say? I've been at one of the things I've always been asked when we do these, or since starting the whole Logic TV or Logic Live thing or whatever, is how do you have the time to do this? And the truth is, I don't. Like, nobody has the time to do this. But when you love something as much, when I get so much fulfillment and joy out of doing all this stuff, and the feedback, the participation, everything, it's addictive, like you can't not do it. And so I really meant what I said before. None of this would have been possible without all of you and everybody who's given so much along the way. So,
Yeah, well said. Yeah, my yard is the worst on the block, so I've given up yard work in lieu of flame.
Oh, all right.
So
what else What else have people given up in lieu of sacrifice to the almighty flame? Right? I know. I gave up my 30s. Yeah. Loving. Anybody else have a favorite episode that they want to share?
I'm a huge fan of Richard Betts's
Publishing with Josh Lawrence. Oh, sorry. Yes.
The king thing is something I come back to, or I've come back to a couple times. I thought it was amazing. I learned so much in it. But there's like 10 of them that I feel like I could go back and watch that a few times. The synthesized one and some of the green screen stuff. It's amazing. It's it's nice to have like a community. That's kind of the promise of the internet itself. It's like being able to build these communities, and it's great.
Speaking of which, Richie Betts just showed up. It's what's for breakfast, Richie?
While we wait for Richard to connect, I love anything with a shot breakdown. Love watching a good shot breakdown, like what Naveen did last week.
Surprised you was pancakes, Randy.
Not surprised at all, Richard. Love watching a good shot breakdown. And now we know the delay in getting to New Zealand in terms of the audio. So it's about that long. Richard, just before you joined, Josh was saying that I had asked everybody, if you had a favorite episode you want to call out, and Josh referred to yours, the keying one.
Yeah, that's the only reason I came in. Otherwise, I was just going to lurk. But since, thanks, Josh.
Plan has worked.
I in my nervousness during the beginning half of the show, I completely forgot to show the slide about the Logic podcasts. And we have more of them coming. Our friend Glenn Teal, say hello, Glenn.
Hey hello, guys. Hey.
Has taken up the mantle of getting those produced and out the door so they can come out on a more regular schedule. But my favorite of all those that I ever did was with Grant. It was with Grant McKean. It was phenomenal conversation. And so I see Grant there.
Yes, that's you, Grant.
Yes. I see Grant frantically searching for the unmute button, as you do when you're on a Zoom and someone calls your name, especially like a work Zoom, Isn't that right, Tim? I see Tim Crean look. Yes. Okay, there we go.
Does it work?
Is it on?
All right.
Woohoo!
Oh. Sorry, I'm cleaning my desk, and I've been having something in my hand the whole time, which is why I've been typing embarrassingly bad words, mistakes on the last thing.
That's okay. The internet's forever. Don't worry about it.
10 snips?
They're pruning things. I was out in the garden a little while ago.
Love this.
Putting stuff away.
Let us interrupt you.
In the YouTube chat here, Eduardo called out like virtual NAB. Loved that one. I mean, anytime where you have like a rapid fire 5 or 6 people showing, like kind of like the pantheon of things you can do with Flame is always a great show. We wanted to talk a little bit about like things we're thinking about for the future, and maybe, oh man, I wish I had access to the Autodesk Safe Harbor statement. Like no one should make any purchasing or investing decisions based
We're
upon
not a publicly traded
what you're about to hear. Hey, do the sound effects work?
I think they do. What should we do next?
2 frames of white. No, I think
1 frame of legal.
One right, fastest legal. We have been talking about kind of doing more with Render Dome. Everyone really seems to love the Render Domes. We had been tossing around the ideas, and I think this might be what Alan was mentioning or referring to in the YouTube chat about either doing like literally like do like a proper Render Dome tournament, do like like brackets, like have 8 of them or something like that, and then the winners of each, kind of play against each other. We had talked about doing those. We talked about maybe doing like cross-discipline Render Domes, like have Flame versus Nuke, in something that doesn't weigh or where the scale isn't tipped against one versus the other. I mean, there's certain things that just are faster to do in Flame than Nuke, everything, but or Flame versus After Effects or something like that. So yeah, we'd love to hear any feedback you have about stuff like that. And also we're trying to get some user groups or just some like live events, local live events in person in different markets. So if you have a market that is either, if you'd love to have one, if you've never had one, definitely reach out. I know some of you have. We're trying to get that going. And long term, we've also been trying to figure out how we can do more in terms of education and outreach and, making Flame and this community more accessible to the next generation of artists, however that may be. So all under the umbrella of we're 2 guys in our either guest room or basement who have full-time jobs. So, we do a lot of talking and a lot of dreaming, and but here we are at 100. So anything is possible.
What do you guys think about getting more Flame artists on board? How could we do that? Because I mean, it's like just a bunch of us basically. I know most of you on this Zoom chat by name back in the Flame News days. So we have to get some new blood. There is some new blood. I mean, I work with teams with Flame artists, and I have not even heard their names. So we should get more people here.
Yeah, I think there's I spend a lot of my time in a lot of really weird places trying to do that. LinkedIn and Reddit and maybe in the new year Twitch are huge platforms, and even TikTok of where people hang out that aren't, that don't look like us. So I think that's really important, and we have time to kind of spend on that because it helps. We have Autodesk supporting us. Maybe in the future we can have huge partners supporting us. Like, when you think about all the people that are involved in Flame, it's not just Autodesk. It's people that sell computers, people that sell services and plugins and tools, and then people that sell computers that you could install Flame on. So you could kind of see where eventually you have access to a lot of people who are really interested in getting more people to use their stuff. But like like in the meantime, like, share, subscribe. You know, honestly, like LinkedIn has been a huge growth in the last 30 days, only because I started posting on the Logic. I made a Logic page for it and allowed people to uncover us, and then inviting people into our crew and reaching out. So that's the best thing to do is you know, try and tell 1 or 2 people a week that this exists. And over the course of the years, you know, we'll keep that graph going in the right direction. So that's the short-term easy thing that we can all do. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but we use all those stats to leverage things to give back, and to spend money on in-person events and all that. So that's a huge thing that you could do right now. But in the long term, we have to have conversations like this. And as you can tell, I'll get off my soapbox because I love talking about this.
I'm going to piggyback onto what you said, Randy, because I'm actually on LinkedIn all the time, and I see a lot of people liking your posts, and I think it's up to all of us to tell someone or tell 2 people about our community. And I'm finding people that actually are in the community, but I don't know them because they're in the Discord and I don't know what their Discord handle is, or they are in the forum, but they never post and they never like a post. They're signed up and they're lurking, but they're not putting their face on the screen. So we have a lot of people that we don't know we have because they're not showing up to the you know, putting their face on the screen for these types of things, or they're not chatting in the chat box on our Logic Lives, but they're here and they're watching and they're interested and they just are looking for a moment to engage or someone to talk to. And so we just need to keep putting ourselves out there. All of us do, because someone will be the person that they're comfortable speaking with, and we don't know who that's going to be. And then each one of us can be a door to the community. So, you know, you just have to tell people your door is open. And I think that the easiest way that people reach out to me is in LinkedIn, you know, in the connecting and then having a conversation in the messages, and then it just kind of goes from there.
And I've also made it homepage on every computer in my office, just
Yeah, my kids and my wife are all subscribers, so you know.
Nice.
I love the Discord channel. I think that's a fantastic resource there. Just being able to just ask a quick question and someone's online, they can just quickly answer it, you know, especially when you're getting stuck in the heat of the moment, you know, why isn't this working? And bang, someone comes up and says, try this. And that's what I enjoy.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like, we've done a lot for screen sharing. We've introduced anonymous posting. So we're trying to break down barriers because it is hard. Like, going back to Flame News days, that's when I first started, was lurking on Flame News. So it's up to me and Andy to listen to the community and start removing barriers so that people can feel like, A, this is a place worth going. C, this is a place worth sharing information. And then F, like having having the ability to do that and break down walls. So if there's anything else that we can do, please let us know. We don't always get it right, and when we slip up or are missing something, we'd love to know.
Hey, it's Anne. I'm struggling with my booster, so the Logic hat's doing really well. I just want to say, like, we try really hard, like with our juniors that come out of school, they all have nuke knowledge now, you know, and it's something we've been trying obviously for the past few years, is to, like, once they get to a level as a compositor, is to, like, then, hey, do you want to learn some timeline, and like put them into some training. And then I was actually out with someone the other night who has an assistant who's really struggling because of remote. And so I literally just went through the Logic group and kind of put like hey, try this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And he's like, this is amazing. I'm like, he's like, I didn't realize this was here. I was like, it's here, you know. So I think it's just, again, it's like just reminding people, definitely kind of like having conversations. If you can go into, you know, maybe you do one for a school, you know, Brooklyn College or something like that. So kind of like, let's do a session, like, and go into, you know, virtually go into a school and kind of like things like that. Because I think I know it's been a struggle for us to kind of like get the artists to go, okay, you've got all these compositing skills, but do you want to move on? Do you want to be a VFX supervisor? etc., or a CD. And if you do, then you want to like lead, then this is probably the best tool to lead on if you want to go into advertising. So yeah, maybe think about next year as like approach a couple of schools and maybe like do a couple of like sessions, you know, and it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be like SVA or, you know, SCAD. It should be Brooklyn College. We had women in animation into the office last week, 2 weeks ago, and went through a project from pitch to end, and we had about 6 women of our team, and we went through every episode. So yeah, maybe we can think about something like that, kind of like a couple of episodes, you know, focus on, you know, a couple of schools and go, okay, let's do intro to Flame, or then like cool stuff, or break down a cool project.
Yeah, we've thought about that a lot, Anna. I think there's even something that I'm kind of messing around with now that does that on kind of a virtual scale. There's so many really interesting places and spaces that are doing that. The pandemic obviously has accelerated that, not only the offering, but the need. The interesting part too that's like fascinating is when we look at data, and I know data is kind of it's kind of a further word sometimes, but like less than 2% of the content that we make across the platform has an engagement, right? So like that's the hard part. So if I put something out there, it's incredible if 1,000 people see it, and then of that 1,000 people, less than 20 like it, less than 5 comment on it, and less than 2 reshare that, right? So it's kind of like a magnification amplification problem, you know, like, I mean, I've spent 2 weeks, 16 days of my life on the forums, right? Like Tim Farrell has spent close to 9 days of his life on the forums, right? Like it's not a lot of return for that kind of temporal investment.
He's going to spend about 3 days cleaning that desk, it looks like.
What's that?
He's probably going to spend 3 days cleaning the desk.
Take into account it's simply open on my machine at work all the time.
Yeah, I want to know how that's measured.
I don't know, but that's what my forum stat is, and that's what I'm rolling with it, guys.
In which case, I'd say you're low because, you know,
Right?
I leave it open all weekend on my laptop at work.
No, I know. I think it's like liking or something or whatever. But for the near term, the every time you see something out there that a Flame artist could benefit from, we could really use your help, because you know, we've invited 10 people in the last 60 days to Discord based on like lurking on the Reddit, you know, the VFX subreddit. And the schools, I think, is an interesting part of that, but I don't think it's part of the complete breakfast. It might be like, you know, the orange juice that is the complete breakfast, but
Part of a healthy breakfast, yeah.
it's part of. So that's the part that scales, and that's what we're struggling with. So anything that you can do with that, that's really the next 60 to 90 days of benefit that I see from just a data perspective.
You know, one thing we were also toying around with, or like an idea we were throwing around of trying to, you know, like solving Flame in higher education is a difficult problem, but is there a sliver of that we could solve or have influence in, or that might yield some results? So we had talked about, you know, what if, and again, this is just a hypothetical that I'm now recording on YouTube forever, so therefore it's, you know, it's like law.
I didn't say it.
But thank you, Randy, for your support. Was what if we could offer up, you know, members of the Logik community as mentors? You know, maybe we can't run a school or something on that scale, but what if we could offer to a younger artist, you know, that one-on-one, either, you know, mentoring or support, that connection, you know, that you can't get in either in your standard online class or that kind of environment. It would give a younger artist, you know, maybe incentive to go and learn Flame if they knew that was something that was available, and it certainly you know, gives all of us insight into, you know, hey, here's an up and coming young flame artist, and they were mentored by somebody that we all know and, you know, and have respect for and trust and collaborate with, and there's value in that as well. So we've been talking about
You
things
need to
like
know
that.
what flame is first. So many, you know, younger kids out there don't know what it is. They get stuck right up in Nuke, and that's all. That's the only thing they know visual effects wise, other than like After Effects and some of the other ancillary programs.
Mm-hmm.
So many people don't know that Autodesk gives Flame away for free for 3 years if you have a .edu address.
Also,
I know someone. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, okay, good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if we know a junior artist, if anybody knows this, we could just offer that to the person we know, rather than trying to find a new junior. Just be like, hey, I'm here if you have any questions, and just put ourselves out for the person that we know, that one connection, and then they will tell people, and then maybe they will grow from there.
I also think part of the reason it's the lack of breakdowns and examples for the young people, because they can see lots of breakdowns on After Effects and Nuke, but they don't see on Flame. Even us don't see Flame. We need like Logik and this very specific news to see it, but they don't get exposed like breakdowns and stuff in Flame. But part, I know that we don't do it because it just moved to next job, but part as well is because doesn't allow us to do it, like for, you know, advertising and NDA, whatever. But I think one of the major reasons are the breakdown, because the young generation, they came to see those, you know, so they need to see and get in love to see, I want to do that. They you know, they get that, because if you arrive at a company and then you learn to do roto, and then you need more than that, you know, keep going, in my opinion. And one of those is like the love for something they saw online and they want to do the same thing. They just don't see that in Flame. They see that in Nuke and After Effects.
Yeah, so I'll add to that, because I think that's a really good point. So for example, if ActionVFX were able to show some demonstrations of using their tools inside of Flame, then I think that would be huge to the people that don't really know Flame yet or want to learn Flame. I also think another aspect that would be helpful for people is not necessarily always focusing on how to use Flame, but why. What are the benefits of learning Flame over Nuke or effects? What industries can I break into if I have Flame skills? I think right now everybody associates, you know, learn After Effects for motion graphics and kind of work your way maybe into some compositing, visual effects stuff. But then if I really want to go next level, then I get into Nuke, and that's the path. That's the only path that they associate. But there are other paths, and I think that the younger generation, if they just had that exposure of Flame, and, you know, maybe showing examples of work that's been done in Flame, then that would appeal to them to want to go down the of learning. And then if you're creating the content to teach junior artists and show other people, then that gives them a long-term path to, you know, basically lets them set a goal for themselves.
And if I could chime in on that a little bit too, there's, am I still muted?
Nope, we got you.
Okay, great. Having been broad, you know, come up in the big facilities situation and taught people and experiencing the pandemic desert of juniors and people existing, I see this as a multi-issue problem. Have people coming into facilities or can sit over your shoulder while you're working on NDA projects and learning the process, and you can't really share the NDA, but at the same time, the like Autodesk needs to really offer up stuff to schools. To USC, CalArts, SCAD, they can get Nuke for practically nothing, if not nothing, and that's why they have 20, 30 things at a time coming out and understanding that software. And we don't have that kind of support on the corporate end, even though you have that kind of support from the talent. And over the last couple of years, as I've worked with junior artists on projects that you're leading or just having to cross paths with them in a freelance pool, you do reach out and make it available, but it's much different than the old days of having the 4 or 5 person night crew coming in and like with their notepads, getting their tip and trick of the day and a list and learning consistently from a group of people that are like getting stuff done that they can see. It's changing over way too quick. So I see it as a multi problem, whereas getting the people that are interested in learning goes back to getting corporate support and feeding that into the schools, because it's one thing to have a breakdown on ActionVFX or a mentor availability over the net. You're removed. It's not personal. It's not face to face. And those people that I've worked with personally, still to this day, I'll get calls. I'll call people, and it's the community is strong in that sense. And being around long enough, I just want to say thanks for that 8-minute Aces color space thing. That was my favorite video.
One rule to rule them
all.
all.
It's a bigger issue, and I think involving corporate is definitely an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can get free versions of Flame from Autodesk with a license. I mean, that's really not that much of a problem. And if you can run it on Mac, that's again not too much of a problem. People don't know about it. Like when you watch a Mocha or a Silhouette, video from Boris, they're always showing it running in After Effects or maybe Nuke, but they never show it in Flame. People that may not know about Flame as a product don't get exposed to it. It's more just like they don't know to ask for Flame. They know to ask for it.
I think one other thing that may be helpful, I think there was a really good discussion about like the junior artists that you bring. There's also a large number of existing artists that already have a lot of experience, but they have been always curious about Flame, but haven't had a chance to it. I'm an example of that. And the learning curve is actually not easy. And, I think the path is different. If you're a junior artist and you come in, you start one corner and you get bad at that, and then you learn another part. But if you are an experienced artist, you come in and you're tying that shot that you used to do in Nuke, and now you do it in Flame. And suddenly you're not starting in one corner and work your way up over months and years, but suddenly you have to solve the whole damn enchilada. And it's very difficult. And you come into this group and you see, well, most of the other Flame artists here, they have like 30-year experiences. It's like, well, how do you compete with that? Or it makes you feel like, wow, I can't even fathom catching up on it. So heads down, I think I put it in the YouTube comment to Randy and this group here to actually making that possible, because it's not an easy journey. But I think those are two different learning paths. I mean, we have to look at like how can you get more junior artists interested in this, and also explain to them why this is a viable and important platform. But there's a lot of other people that work that could definitely benefit from Flame that I experienced people. But it's I know several ones. They say, yeah, I would love to try it out. Then something always scares them off.
All right, I got a crazy idea or thought. Maybe it's a little spicy. Don't worry, Andy. Okay, raise your hand if you have in the Zoom or put in the chat on YouTube if you've had this exact same conversation more than twice in the last 3 months. Yeah, right? Yeah, Charles. Yeah. Yep. So like Anne and Tim, like,
does it count if it's discussing with you guys?
Yes.
Well, of course.
Yeah, exactly. We talk we talk about this all the time. And like every time we do, we're guaranteed to go like at least an hour over, because it feels to me like so many people are passionate about this. So let's do this. My email is now in the chat, and I'm going to do this on YouTube, which God help my spam filter. I'm going to put my email on YouTube and in the Zoom chat. Email me, drop me a line if this is something that you are excited to talk about, but tired of having the same conversation. And let's put together a weekly thing. I don't know what it is yet. Just email me if you want to be like, if you're interested in moving this forward. Drop me a line. I've got some ideas. We can coordinate, do a Zoom week, and we can start like put together a thing. Because I think we've talked about it, but we need to start like, we just need to take a next step. So if you're interested, drop me a line. You don't have to do anything. Just drop me a line. I'll put you on a list. You can show up or contribute or something. Because you know, we should. I think it's time for us to legitimately get organized in that department.
Agreed. Thanks, Randy. I wanted to ask, other than this topic, right? This topic aside, like the finding new artists, training new artists, getting Flame into schools, what other kinds of things would you like to see us do in the next 12 months? Or do differently?
This is going to be different, but I would like to see some sort of longevity plan. You know, because you guys have built something so great, but I keep going to different links in Matchbox shaders or different things like that, and it's not there anymore. So, because I know that if we all know that what we're contributing, like, you know, doing different not will be here past, you know, Randy and Andy. So I think that would also help bring more people in because they know it's something that's going to just move down through the future. I know that's not like fun stuff, but that's one of the things that hits me a lot lately too.
Well, it's a corollary to that, and that's that it can't just be long-lived because so many things in our business get obsolete really fast. So it has debated consistently so that it's still relevant. You know, one of the problems with the Sparks is, you know, some of them don't run on modern software or, you know, the latest CPUs or something. And so we have to keep that shit updated, not just available.
Absolutely. And sorry, I was chewing my eyes. Brooks, I think about that all the time. And most of the motivation for what is born with the fact that we've lost several members of our community in the last 3 years that are 1,000% irreplaceable. And that
specifically for shaders and Matchbox.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, I mean, think of where, you know, Mark Donnelly's code is. Like, it's all around the world, right? But we don't have. So Autodesk is interested in figuring this out. Andy and I are interested in figuring this out. Many of these things that we rely on in our community are done by the grace of their own goodwill, and that's a fragile. It's a fragile thing to base a business on, right? Like that's no one. If you guys, all you business runners at home, like you guys would never think that was a good idea. So long term, Brooks, like, dude, that's a huge thing for us. And I think if there's opportunities to do that, we're looking for that. We're looking to even coordinate with sysadmins on the studio sysadmins, looking at all kinds of ways to make sure that this stuff is like forever from, you know, what movie.
And I'm also willing to put my foot where my mouth is, and if you need help, I sound very loud. If you need help in any shape or form, I will help out when needed or however for that goal and whatnot.
Actually, two specific things on those lines. One more helpful, the other one more on the housekeeping side. I love the new Discord. I'm a little worried that a lot of helpful questions and answers that used to be in the forum. I mean, I think the Discord is like the water cooler is terrific, but there's also a lot of very helpful things that we have on Discord that's no longer searchable after a while. So if we keep answering in the nice and fast, there, we need to find a way of archiving them. so that we don't lose them like we do when they're on the forum. Also, people that are not on the Discord channel can't. If you Google them, you don't find the answers in the Discord. You will find them the ones in the forum. The other thing that I actually would find super helpful is the Logic Live episodes are just gold. We watch them on a regular basis as I'm trying to still learn things. Some of them are pretty obvious. It says it's the beauty. Well, that's actually an academy, but it's a beauty episode. But then we have other ones that are with a particular presenter, and so it's not always obvious what techniques they're showing. It should be super interesting to have like a table of contents that's organized by, hey, this is about tracking, this is about green screen. Here we talked about this technique. So as this arc goes, we can go back to somewhere in this table of contents says it's that Logic Live episode. You may have seen it before, and then you know which one you have to rewatch. But I think for people that haven't watched them all, that would be super helpful. I know it's a little tedious to do, but
that's an amazing point. I just real quick, I'll let you. Okay. That's the Discord versus discourse. You're absolutely right, and we battle with that all the time because people are happy to post in Discord and scared to post forums because of some of that. So a little bit of that is that tension of growing a community that's engaged versus the longevity of some of that information. So it's up to us to kind of police and regulate that. And if you do that, copy and paste it or at me, I will help. But that's definitely something that's need to get right for the future. And then the table of contents, I'm really looking into how to transcribe all of our content and have it searchable. That's not an easy thing, and sometimes companies with hundreds of millions of dollars have figured it out, but we're not, so we haven't. But
let me help you on that because I do that a lot.
Okay, cool. So that's a huge part of what really needs to get done, because if we have 15,000 hours of content on YouTube, no one gives a shit if you remember that guy with a thing in the place with the denoise trick. So,
well, doesn't Premiere do auto subtitles and make SVGs or SRTs?
Yeah, there's an IBM tool that does that
stuff. You can just play it down and it makes an ASCII file.
Okay,
Even
cool.
YouTube does
I did
that,
not
but
know that. Maybe what we could do is I'll put out a little thing to have like a I don't know, what's what I'm looking for? A call or a thread on how to improve that, because that's an area that I could really use your expertise on.
Yeah, I think we would definitely benefit from, at the very least in the YouTube description, doing the little breakdown there, so it gives you chapter marks to say what happens at each thing. Also, putting into the YouTube tags about what the subject matter was in the episode, and also putting that on the website. Like, we never really set up tags for each. The Logic Live episodes are listed on the website as they're in the blog format of Squarespace. So every entry can have tags for, is this beauty, is it tracking, is it whatever. And so we should definitely look at doing that so that you could, if you're looking for something in that regard, you could easily find it. That's really good, Jan. Thank you.
I stepped on someone. Was that you, John Ag? That were you going to chime in?
No, it was me. I got a question for Jan, but don't worry, Randy and Andy. This is. Do you feel like it would be helpful, like in the Logic Lives, if the little thing popped up, and when someone in Logic Live discussed something, you could click on it and it would go to a step by step of how you do that technique.
Well, I mean, yes, it's always helpful. I mean, actually, to the previous discussion or the previous topic that came up about breakdowns.
Yeah, this is something I'm thinking about doing. I'm just wondering, I
think the question is what's the ideal way of encapsulating a technique? I mean, as I've been learning Flame from the fire hose in the last couple, I have a separate notebook where I keep notes. Okay, this is the technique. It's these 5 steps just as a memory marker. I think the problem or the challenge with a Flame breakdown is versus a nuke breakdown. And a nuke tree, I can look and I can figure out how to do this. The problem with Flame is that each tool has this myriad of very complex buttons that interact with each other. So if you have a screenshot of a breakdown, it's not going to help you. You actually need somebody to you know, you need to watch somebody do it and talk about why this under these circumstances works, but not under these other circumstances. And so I think actually getting a flame breakdown that is instructional is not easy. And so I think
workshops like one-on-one would be great.
yeah, exactly. So I think breakdowns are, or even just an archive, you know, the collective archive of, you know, here's instructions on how to do this, because not everybody can record a half-hour, you know, how-to, and we don't always have footage that we can share. But I mean, I think the Flame Learning channel and Grant has done a fabulous job cover the basics, but I think there's stuff beyond that, and figuring out how we can capture that so that it really helps a lot of people, and us included, right? Because I mean, in the beginning of the show, you talked about, oh, you know, I never did a car show. It's like, well, you know, maybe some of us have never done a car show, and then you get a show, and now you have to suddenly, over the weekend, learn how to do a car show. And so, you know, this kind of archive of knowledge and put that in text is not easy, but super helpful.
Well,
have you ever seen what Boris FX does with their office hours weekly, where they select and they take a shot and they just like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, do this for an hour, and they just kind of work on the box and they talk about what they're doing. I don't know if that's something that, you know, Logik.tv could do, or more like an Autodesk Grant K kind of thing, but it's super helpful just to, like, you know, watch do this. It's like, oh, that's how you do that one little button or whatever it is. I think it's really great.
Yeah, I'd love to see that through the Discord channel. You know, just sit and watch someone do something. You know, like
it's got to be beyond Discord. It's got to be like on YouTube, so anyone can go and see it,
Well,
not just someone that happens to be set up for the Discord, right?
Yeah. So John, I agree with both of you guys, and that's something we've thought a lot about. There's a plot I'm kind of looking at, experimenting in that can build a lot of this stuff into one place. So that's possible. It's actually not that hard to do, because there are mechanisms built in place. And I think having the office hour, you know, we experimented with the Logik Hive Mind, which I see a bunch of our Hive Minders here on YouTube and some in this Discord. Some in this Zoom.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, it's. I really love what it did, but I think the format was not quite right. You know, we had a bunch of people, it was me, Renee, MB, and Danny Yoon, and we had the most amazing time getting to know 20 or so from across the globe with amazingly interesting and amazing stories. And, you know, each person kind of needs a little different thing, and I want to provide service, but in a different format. And so that's actually kind of what we're experimenting now. We've started up front. We've tabled it because international schedules, I think, we're just not in control of their schedules. So it needs to be like the new flavor of FX PhD before it was 4 separate semesters or quarters. So that is being looked at and actually testing right now. And that gives us an opportunity to do those things, like schedule office hours or create a smaller, more intimate place where people can get the precision that they need. Because John, I think that's something that you're really passionate about. And you know, that's, if you are, John, like I know others are. And so I think that's a real opportunity for us. And that might be a new kind of focus of ours in 2023, if you guys think it's worth exploring.
It's funny you bring that up, because I was going to bring up Hive Mind, and you know, I would love to do it the next time around. I was going to do it last time, but I had to buy a bunch of furniture because we moved, and just, you know, financially wasn't quite feasible. But yeah, that'd be great. But just as far as the office hours goes, it shouldn't really be just for a small group of people. It should be for everybody, kind of like what Boris did. It's just, here's what I'm doing today with this one tool, and just, you know, get an hour's worth of education out of it.
Well, the challenge with that is they do that even to sell stuff. so like that's the hard part, is like, how can you, like, I want to do that too, but then my wife gets really nervous.
No, this should be an auto. This really shouldn't be a Logik TV thing. Absolutely right.
I think maybe the hurdle to overcome for us as a community here is just getting people if we could get half a dozen of the people on this call to like volunteer or throw their hat in the ring, we would compensate you for your time. But like, volunteer to do one of these office hour type things. Come up with the subject matter of the thing you'd like to show. We have accounts with like stock footage libraries, so we can help you find footage that you could use. And then what we could do is we could just line up a schedule, every other week on whatever it is, when, Tuesday at 3 or something like that. We do, we could set up an office hours,
I've already gotten 7 emails in the last few minutes. So that's all we really need, right? Like that's more than a basketball team. So I leave that with me. I can actually.
There are some jobs. There's some jobs I actually go into Discord and just publish my video, and if anyone wants to watch, they can sit and watch. I guess one of the problems is security and publishing. But a lot of my client work is sort of so local, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect. But if some junior wants to just sit in and watch me grade a bunch of shots and watch me attack a job from whether it be an edit or whether it be a VFX shot or something, just, that's what I kind of even want to see. One of you guys, you're in the middle of doing blah, blah, blah shot. I can tune in and just be the fly on the wall and just see how you're doing stuff and see how you work. It's just, I think that's valuable. And to a junior artist, they don't get that anymore because they're all freelancing and they don't get to just walk down the corridor, pop into a room and sit quietly next to the artist and see how they do things.
Well, they will
totally
once the
agree. I think
metaverse
this
comes
idea is really resonating with me. I think it's it's like it's getting that junior artist experience, and I think you can get a nice little library. Like, I'll conform a spot for an hour. John Ag will grade a shot for an hour. Someone will do a green screen for an hour, and eventually you can get multiple artists same task. You get a nice little library of different techniques and different people doing this, like similar tasks. I think that's a really cool idea.
But as we know, no two jobs are, you could sit there and grade 2 different jobs, and there are completely 2 different techniques that I might apply to this grade. I might, using all sorts of different tools on the same sort of attack, because you get a different set of images from different cameras and you attack it in a different way. So just the tricks, just to watch me do a real job, I think is more important than doing a setup, real live challenges, real situations.
I actually want to ask one more question, and that ties a little bit into the thread that was on the forum right now. Do we expect a whole lot more people to go freelance rather than in a facility or remote rather than being even in a facility? Because I think some of that learning challenge, the office hours, and that infrastructure doesn't really just benefit the juniors, but it also benefits anybody that's going to be a freelancer or that's working remote only and suddenly does not have all the benefits of being in a facility and or it's even a team that they can rely. I think as we're thinking through that would be interesting context to have and how we can support that if that happens.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Just to be clear, no one expects anything but, a 120-year-old company that only made $70 million last year to go anywhere but do amazing things. And many of those people are on this call and listening. So that deserves an amount of care and appreciation for artists and the 11 or 12,000 people that technical employees worldwide. There's a lot of artists out there that just deserve more, right? Like, it's hard enough to do your job. It's hard enough to do your job during a pandemic. It's hard enough to do your job when technology is moving and access is limited. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I don't know if I can or want to. I'm not even authorized. I used to work. This is just me making stuff up. But if we as a community can solve, and if I'm taking notes, if we can solve the awareness, the access, the inspiration, and the education elements of this challenge, then we've done our job. and I think that is that's kind of my focus, is to somehow understand all those forces and to try and move it forward. So yeah, I think we can kind of be like these and not give a shit what anybody else thinks, and just do what we think is best. And I think the world will work out in favor for artists.
I wanted to remind everybody we have some prizes to give away, and we are and some significant ones also. We're at the 90-minute, just past the 90-minute mark. So I did want to throw it out there. If anybody had one other subject they wanted to bring up for discussion, let's do that, and then we'll pick some winners.
I had two, Andy.
I yield
this
to the
was
man
great.
from
I mean,
Montclair.
talking about like how to move this forward and grow this, but I think that it would be nice. I would love to see episodes featuring guys like John Knoll and big VFX supervisors that are famous in our industry. And as before they depart this world, it would be great to get some of the elders in the VFX world to show up and talk about what we do, because I think that there's an enormous amount of people that have experienced Flame over the last 30 years that have changed the way that entertainment and commercials have been produced. And their experience working with Flame artists, I think, is important for us to understand and be able to talk to those people, or at least hear what they have to say about what's happened in Flame, and remember why Flame is so important and why it will continue to be this important. That's one. And in that same vein, it'd be nice to hear from producers, agency producers, film producers, supervisors who are active in the film industry and in the commercial industry, and hear what they want from us, because that's an important component for what we do and why we do it. It's not just how we do it. I think it's important to hear from those people. So I think to get some of those people on the Logic Live.
That's a great idea, Josh. And people in the chat are responding. Would you be interested in also hearing from like professionals in other disciplines, like DPs or directors, who obviously work work on visual effects heavy stuff? Would you be interested in hearing that? I don't know who I'm waving to. Oh, it's Brooks's kid. It's Brooks's producer.
Yeah.
I can definitely help get people in for those kinds of chats, Josh. I can definitely help get those people in here. I think that's a great idea to remind us all why Flame is still relevant and still important, and why people still want people working in it, because maybe not all of us are hearing enough or at all how important it is to have a Flame artist on the job. I mean, I've just got off of a job recently where they're like, had a bunch of other compositors, but they're like, I just need a heavy hitter on the Flame. And it's like, okay, it just makes them feel better. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and moving forward, I think we haven't necessarily structure upcoming episodes and of the Logic Lives like we'd like to. And so we're looking at actually regularly breaking down, right, Andy, in the 4 T's. Did you want to walk us through the 4 T's of the Logic Live? Do you remember what they are? Because I don't.
I actually specifically wasn't going to bring that up because I don't remember what they are. But I think now that I'm on the spot, they were.
Let's do it live.
No,
Techniques.
It was like talent, technique. It was Tarragon,
Tools.
And then I think tiramisu, right? No,
Yeah.
It was talent, technique,
It's
tools,
tarot
and
cards.
tarot cards.
Exactly.
It's tallow.
Topic. The fourth one is topic. A timely topic.
Yes, it was topic, talent, technique, and tool. And so maybe we would do that. If we were to like do 4 of them a month, like do one every week, those are the kind of we would break them down into subcategories like that, just to kind of make it a little bit more regular. Sinan is topic, talent, tool, and Randy? Topic, talent, tool, and technique.
Technique. Yeah. So to be a little bit more specific, in my head, Grant K at Autodesk does tools, right? This is, he has a job to help sell the software that developers make. He works with that. He does it beautifully. But maybe the techniques, like how to, 5 different ways to rebuild reflections in a scene, or 10 different ways to build a clean plate. Those are kind of as being techniques and being tool agnostic, possibly platform agnostic. So that's what I was thinking there, Sanan. Yeah.
Joel Ossoff used to do that for a little while. He used to do 3 ways to do whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Randy's
those are
going to
really cool.
up him and do 10. You heard it here.
For one of the T's.
That's right.
Take Joel Ossoff is number 5. Take whatever Joel did.
Right, and watch it 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful.
Take what Joel did and just watch him. He does
This
it
is
better
great.
than anybody.
This was great, friends. Thank you very much. Wait, let me make sure I'm not muted. I'm not muted. Okay. Thank you very much for being a part of today's show and for this conversation, especially. This is something Randy and I really were looking forward to, and we're glad that so many people engaged. And we'll keep that conversation going. Thank you. I've already gotten some emails about people who want to host an office hours, and we'll follow up with some of the comments and suggestions that were made in the YouTube and the Zoom chat here. So I'm going to try pushing the button here to give away some prizes, and God willing, it's going to work. Almost.
Andy?
What's that, Randy?
What are the prizes we're giving away today?
Hold on, I have to. There we go. We have 3 prizes to give away today in honor of our 100th episode. The first is a $250 gift certificate to ActionVFX.com. I've got everybody's name in the list here. Hold on, I said I've got everybody's name in the list here. Hold on, I said I've got everybody's name in the list here. There we go, and I'll move myself there. It's all about me. So let me shuffle the list here, and here we go. Round and it goes. Let's see. It's going to be right here. Richard Betts, the man, the myth, the legend. Congratulations. Next up.
Andy, we cannot see the wheel of fun.
Oh, on Zoom, you can't see the wheel of fun?
Correct. I don't see it on.
You can see it in YouTube.
You can see it on YouTube,
Really?
Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're breaking ground here, man. We're breaking something. All right. Next up, I've got a 1-year license to the BorisFX suite. That's everything BorisFX makes from our friends at BorisFX. Here we go. Look at that thing spin. It's amazing. Must be going at 60 frames a second. Carlos Morales. Congratulations, Carlos. Nice. And finally, my friends, we have a 1-year license of our favorite visual effects app, Flame, courtesy of our friends at Autodesk. Thank you, Robert Dush at Autodesk, for offering that up. All right, we're doing a good shuffle here. Here we go. Round and round it goes. It's going to be right here. Joe Chow. Congratulations, Joe. Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right. Oh, look at that. It even timed out with the music, Randy. How exciting was that? All right. So, again, thank you very much, friends, for joining us today for the 100th episode of Logic Live. I have a few slides to close out the show. But again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's ever been a part of not just Logic Live, but the forums, the Discord, the podcasts, everybody who's ever, share, like I said, shared a tip or a trick, helped someone out who is in need. This is by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my career. And as someone a lot smarter than me once said, there are 2 ways to spread the light. You can be the candle or you can be the mirror. And that, when I heard that felt like logic to me. So on that solemn, beautiful, emotional note, I'm going to try desperately to go back to the slideshow here. I have a very, very, very exciting episode coming up. I'm so looking forward to this. On December the 4th, our friend Graziella Gandolfi is going to show off writing your first Matchbox shader. A little sneak peek or a tease. She has recorded Logic Academy on the same subject, so we're going to be releasing that on the same day. This is great. We would definitely love to see some more Matchbox development, and I want to thank Graziella for that. If you haven't signed up for the forum, please do at forum.logic.tv. And while you're there, join the conversation on the Discord. This episode of Logic Live is going to join all of its friends later today on logic.tv. And as we mentioned, our friend Glenn is going to be recording a whole bunch of new Logic podcast episodes so we can release those more regularly. But if you haven't checked out The most recent one, which was episode 28, Women of Flame, hosted by our friend Amanda Elliott. Please do a fantastic conversation and subscribe to the podcast in any of these podcatching apps here or your podcatching app of choice. We've crossed the 1,600 subscriber threshold, Randy. So thank your cousin in Sheboygan, Illinois for me for getting us over the 1,600 mark. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. And make sure holidays are just around the corner. Hey, Randy, you know what we should do? We should announce a Black Friday sale. So we'll do that on the forum, in time for Black Friday. Maybe Wednesday, like everybody else, for the Logik
Send me
merch
an
store.
email. I'll send you a challenge coin.
I'll send you an email.
Let's call that a Black Friday sale.
There you go. And be on the lookout for the Black Friday sales from ActionVFX, and be sure to use that affiliate link. And there's also a Black Friday sale coming up from Boris Effects. I'll make sure that the information gets across on that. Thank you to AJA, and thank you to Hot Spring for sponsoring Logik Live. My friends, it's been a fantastic 100 episodes. Here's looking to the next 100. Thank you very much. We're retiring the music, my friends. This is the last time you're going to hear it. Randy is very upset. Just want to say that. Randy was devastated when he told me that it was time to retire this music. So thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Have a great week.
Soak it in, everybody. Soak it in.
Thanks, Andy and Randy, for everything. It's awesome.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here, and thanks for taking time out of your Sunday to shoot the shit with us and figure out all the fun stuff. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye. See you. Bye.
Bye.